With all the excitement from the announcement at E3 that a sequel to Breath of the Wild is in development, I thought it'd be a good idea to look at what improvements and problems the sequel could address and fix. Personally, what I would like to see in the next game, as I thought that Breath of the Wild was, even though it was a good game, it was lacking a bunch of Zelda elements. So basically, you'll be seeing a bunch of suggestions for more Zelda in this game. But before I begin the list, I will say that these are just my opinions, and that these aren't in any particular order of priority. They're just about 10 things off the top of my head that I think should be in the next game. So let's get started. So number one I have here is a better story. The story in Breath of the Wild was underwhelming to the point that it's basically non-existent. There was an attempt with the interesting premise that Link was put to sleep for about 100 years, and that he was part of the Hyrule's champions with Rivali and all of them, and they all failed to beat Calamity Ganon. But figuring out the reason why Link got so badly injured to be put in such a condition, as well as getting to know all the other champions, was pretty disappointing in my opinion. I find it really hard to believe that Link got kind of badly injured by just one Guardian, when in the game itself you take on multiple Guardians. The main problem is that most of the story in general takes place in the past rather than in the present when you're playing. Since this is a sequel, and we've already learned about plenty of the past that we need to know in the original game or in the first game, I'm hoping the story will focus on the actions that take place in the present. Number two here is more music. Zelda is known for its music, yet Breath of the Wild has it very downplayed. Yet that's probably what they want to go for, since it's like kind of post-apocalyptic and like it's like the calm after the storm type of deal. And I will say the music in Breath of the Wild itself, like the ones you do here, is pretty good music, but it's you kind of hard to notice it because they're so far apart, and when you're just walking around the overworld, it's just unless you have your horse, it's just mostly just little piano snippets every once in a while, instead of like a grandeur, the Hyrule theme, or anything like that. The music, but I like to see more themes, like the Nintendo Switch presentation song that's not even in the game, but isn't in Smash Brothers for some reason. I would like to see more type of music like that in the sequel, and I don't know, just memorable tunes and just more emphasis on music. And I know that with a lot of people are saying the sequel is going to be darker, but even Majora's Mask had like very memorable tunes that everybody knows. So I don't see why they couldn't do it for this game. So on to the next point. So for number three, I put down bring back the classic combat, and this basically means for starters, let me say that all the 3D Zeldas since Ocarina of Time, aside from Skyward Sword, but even then you can still kind of apply, had the Z targeting, and it had Z targeting actions with your sword, like you had a forward slash, a side slash, and a thrusting slash. I mean, it's not really slash, but a thrust action. With Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, they added in special moves like the Helm Splitter, the one where Link jumps over the tops of enemies' heads and just does like a kind of like a spin, comes back down. And then the one in Wind Waker N, which is also in Twilight Princess, where you just roll around the enemy, and Link does an upward slash. But in Breath of the Wild, they kind of reduced Link's set with weapons. With the sword, it's a 4-piece slash, and then you can just do a spin attack. And then with this spear items, it's kind of the same thing, four thrust moves, and then he stops, and then you can do, when you hold down the action button, he'll do multiple attacks. And with the axe, it's just 2 swings to knock over enemy, and then you can hold that attack button, do like a swing and a downward like ground shaking move. I'd like for them to at least become more different than just using a sword, because they basically just different variations of a sword. No, like with a spear you can throw, but you can throw anything in Breath of the Wild. If anything, just like a really big thing I did not like is how like if you, like the great swords, like the big swords, they just act like axes instead of like a two-handed sword, which is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of dumb to me. So Ocarina of Time, you got the Master Sword, and then you had the big Goron Sword, and like you can, with the big Goron Sword, since you had two hands, you had to use it with two hands, and you can't use your shield. The sword, you can use the sword as a shield. I don't know how to affect, like I don't like in Ocarina of Time, like you can't, I don't know if you can actually block things with doing that move, but it would be cool to see that in Breath of the Wild. Something like that, something making it look like an axe in every way. It's kind of lazy if you ask me. For spears, I don't know, like it's fine, but like for the swords, I really want them to add back the forward and more momentum, like the more moves you can do with swords, or just basically add more contact sensitive attacks. I know you can do like the kind of witch time thing if you dodge an enemy attack at the right time, but it's kind of lame doing that all the time, and it's kind of broken because half the time when you do it, enemies not even attacking you. You do it like 5 seconds before they even attack, the game activates it and you just go to town on them. I think they either should tone that down or just replace that with something else. The one when you do with the arrow it's okay, it's fine with me because it's based on your stamina meter. Just replace the witch time thing. Just add back contact sensitive actions like the helm splitter and the rolling around the enemy and doing that type of stuff. Same with the shield bashing. That was cool and all, like but it activates witch time. Not real. Well, it doesn't activate witch time, but like it stops time for a little bit. That's cool. I think you should keep it in, but remove the game freezing. I think Link should be able to do like the shoulder bash instead if he's close to an enemy, like in Twilight Princess. That'd be cool. Just more adjustments to combat and Link's moveset when he's handling enemies with weapons. So for number 4, I wrote down bring back traditional dungeons. This seems like a no-brainer since those are a huge staple in the Zelda series, even being in the first game. I see why they weren't put into this game, since they weren't. They wanted 100 shrines to be the main focus and the Divine Beast to also be the main focus and be different from like other Zelda games. Divine Beasts are cool and all, but there's only 4 of them. They're nothing like an actual Zelda dungeon, which has like keys, mini bosses, and obstacles, and having unique themes to them, like having a water temple, a forest temple, a fire temple, stuff like that. They kind of did that with the Goron Divine Beast, where it's fire based, but it still looks like a Divine Beast or a shrine. It looks like you're in a shrine. It's just not the same. It's just more like a puzzle box rather than like you traversing a great temple. And even to that, like there aren't really any enemies in those areas. It's just small guardians and those bone malice spawning bone enemies. I know a lot of people like to bring up Hyrule Castle, and that's how a dungeon should be handled going forward, and I mostly agree with that. But I just want them to add more unique themes and more mini bosses and keys and stuff like that. In Hyrule Castle, they did have like mini bosses, a couple of them, but they were either just Lynels, just an enemy room, or that one room where you get the Hylian shield, and it's just a, forgot the name of the enemy, but it's like the big moblin, or the big bokoblin thing. Man, I forgot his name, but yeah, just more traditional dungeons in the next game. So for number 5, I put better side quest. I like to see more involved side quests like the Terry Town one. It seems like a bunch of the side quests the MCs give you are either finding something in the overworld like a shrine, or just giving them something that you have, or probably already have in your inventory. I know there's one in the desert where a guy asks you for can you give him a horse, you have to ride a horse to him, and then that's just the end of the side quest. I don't think there's anything wrong with those type of side quests, but There's like a whole bunch of them compared to just the Terry Town one. Terry Town's like the only one like it. The shrine quests with Pyra and Kariko Village was a nice change of pace, but again, it just led to a shrine, which made it. It's just basically a glorified shrine quest. The sequel, I want to see quests that are more involved with the characters, like the one with Paya, or Paya. I don't know how you exactly pronounce her name, but but they should have more involvement to them, not only just to give you lead you to a shrine. Maybe having a long trading quest to get a rare item, like getting the big Goron sword in Ocarina of Time, or the Anju and Cafe quest, or the weird one from like Skyward Story with the ghost stand. Like just like random stuff like that I want to see. For number 6, I wrote down make a satisfying ending. Simply, the ending was pretty bad and anticlimactic. Just look at any other Zelda ending and you'll see my point. The fight with Calamity again, it just happens, and it's just a glorified cut. Like the one where you, the game just transports you outside of Hyrule Castle, and then the Malice of Ganon just turns into a Beast Ganon, a former Beast Ganon, and you gotta shoot his holes. He barely even attacks you, or he basically kind of avoids attacking you, and you just gotta shoot him in the head. It's kind of anticlimactic. And after you're done, I set Zelda free. Nothing much happens. She just says there's work to be done, and the game ends. No credit celebration or post-credit scene showing Hyrule or Zelda or Link after the game ends doing anything. Just shots of places you just visited throughout the game with their used music playing in the background. Like, why wasn't there any new song created for the credits of the game at the very least? I blame the fact that the game was open world, and you can just do whatever you want. You could just be like that person, the person that just wakes up from the Shrine of Resurrection, and just go all the way to Ganon and actually defeat him. But even then, like in Majora's Mask, if you don't collect all the masks, you don't get to see a lot of the post-credit stuff, because it'll just show you the mask if you didn't collect it. So it gives you an incentive to go back and play the game again and get all the masks and then to beat the game. But here it's just like you get the same ending no matter what you do, and it's really boring. And it's just like, yep, I beat the game. It doesn't conclude anything. It's just disappointing, especially when like in Ocarina of Time you get to see like everybody rejoicing that finally Ganon is done for. And like Wind Waker like kind of is almost like this ending, but even then, like, it was a satisfying ending. At least you got a satisfying ending. They return back to the surface, and they just basically Tetra meets up with their pirate crew, and they set off and sail. And then the credits is just bubbles of the characters with like I know it's kind of reused music, but it was I think I'll excuse it for that game because it was still powerful to me. This game is just like just like whatever. You don't really do anything with the characters in this game. But I digress. For number 7, I wrote down enemy and boss variety. But it got real tiring to see moblins, bokoblins, Lizalfos be like the most common enemy you see all the time. But the only different like variation of them is that they get stronger and they have a different color to them. Don't get me wrong, they did a good job in improving the enemy AI and making them smart enough to interact with the world the same way Link can, but I would like to see more variety. Same can go with the overall bosses. Fighting and countering the Stone Talus, I think that's what it's called, the big Moblin dude, and Lynels. And I forgot Molduga, I think, from the desert. Molduga is like kind of safe because you only see him in the desert, so that's okay. But like things like the Lynels and big Mokoblins, after you see them like after a while, it gets really boring just to encounter them. You just might as well just run away. I know getting the balance for enemies can be difficult now since Link can do a lot of things. Has his new abilities like shield surfing, using bombs whenever he wants, just doing the that witch time arrow thing, countering with his shield and stuff, and the backflip witch time thing. But since we're in the same Hyrule again, I think it'd be cool just to it'd be nice change of pace to have new enemies and that mess with our expectations, especially new enemy types. Personally, I like to see more humanoid enemies like the Yiga clan members, but not have them feel like weapon sponges. and I guess that applies to basically all the enemies in the next game, and try to make them less like weapon sponges that just tank your hits until you do your big fourth or second or third hit, with depending on which weapon you got. For the bosses, or the main bosses, I liked anything but the same Gallant Ganon Malice thing they did with the Divine Beast. It was really disappointing just to see like the same boss, but like, oh, he has a spear and he can freeze, he can throw water things at you, or he has a big flame sword, or this one has a cannon but shoots wind up. It's just like, it kind of brought down the Divine Beast even worse, because in shrines you don't find any mini bosses, you just fight little guardians, but in the Divine Beast you find just basically a different variation of a guardian. And then not Ganondorf, but like Calamity Ganon, it's just a combination of all of them, which is, I mean, I know a lot of people like that design, but it's just like, it's I don't like it. I don't like it personally. Since if they do add in traditional dungeons, I want to see them make traditional bosses, unique bosses that have like their own gimmick to be able to defeat. And just classic bosses, like I don't know what they could do to make it like super different from other past Zelda games, like the one where you have to shoot a enemy in the big glowing eye and then go in for an attack. But I don't know, just make them really unique, just really unique bosses, and like bring back traditional enemies like Dark Nuts would be cool. Any enemies that like have like then create one-on-one duels, like Dark Nuts or the Lizalfos from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. For number 8, I put weapon durability. This seems like a very controversial topic. I've seen a lot of people for it rather than against it. I think they should get rid of the system, but since I know they'll probably keep it for the next game, here's some suggestions I think would make the system better. I think giving a Link an action, like if he has no weapon he can punch, or just hand guarding, like just crossing his arms together to reduce damage when he has no weapon, instead of relying on bombs when you have no other weapons to use, would be nice. Having a weapon that's really weak, or being given a weapon that's really weak but doesn't break, but can be upgraded throughout the game, or just having the ability to repair your weapons or your favorite weapons would be nice too. I really didn't like the fact that this is kind of on top. I didn't really like the fact that Master Sword, you know, the one that's in almost every Zelda game but has never broken once until this game, is now breakable. To me, that just lessens the importance and meaning of attaining it. It makes it feel like it's just any other sword. It's just, in my opinion, devaluing its legacy. Since it's a sequel, I'm interested to see how they'll deal with Link already having the Master Sword, or if they're just gonna make it canon that Link never got the Master Sword. I just want them to see them improve it, or have it make sense, because I didn't like how when your weapon broke, it just disappeared and like it just digitized. You know, in Ocarina of Time, the big Goron sword, when it broke, you still had the sword, but like it was shorter, and it was like you had to get really close to use it. Something like that to change it up would be nice. Same with like with shields and stuff. I can understand like burning shields and stuff like that. Like shields, I'm okay with, because they did that in Skyward Sword. And that was pretty cool. And arrows, but just mostly like your weapons. I don't think they should just automatically just combust when they reach their limit. At least have us be able to repair them. Okay, so number 9. Put in improve the cooking and healing system. The health system in Breath of the Wild got pretty broken the more you played it, and having the ability to just pause on the fly after you get hit and eat a full course in a meal in a span of a second whilst fighting a Lino, I think should be addressed. For some weird reason, the team behind Breath of the Wild seemingly forgot bottles existed, which would fix a lot of the problems, especially if they were used like in Skyward Sword, where you had to select while you're in a battle, you have to select from a radio menu in real time, select your bottle, and then drink it in real time too, without the game pausing. For Link eating food, I think they should restrict how much and when Link can eat the cooked meals. Maybe have a hunger or cooldown system. Would kind of fix just chugging down a full course meal. For the smaller foods like fruits and veggies, I think having it act like a bottle item instead of having to go to the menu would and eat it would be better. So like, just imagine like a radio menu, and you have your bottles, and you can put like 2 to 3 pieces of fruit, or just have like, say like you have radio menu, and then you have like an apple, and you have multiple apples. You just select it while you're in the battle, and Link will just grab an apple and eat it while he's while you're in combat to heal up, instead of just having to go in a menu, then click eat and just a whole bunch of, and just eat all your apples to help refill your health. Kind of waters down the combat. So I think they should improve that. For the last thing, technically, is for number 10, I put better menu UI. The UI in Breath of the Wild was serviceable, but it could be better. Instead of having a row to cycle through for your weapons, shields, and arrows, I think you should make it a radio menu you could rotate through and have the game not pause when you do it. Kind of like, you know, in Super Mario Maker they changed from like all the tiles, and in Mario Maker 2 you have a radio menu you can just select with the analog stick in a circle, or just like Ratchet and Clank, the weapon menu in that game too. This would make navigating your many weapons a lot faster and make weapon swapping during combat. And combat in general feel less slow. Same goes for selecting runes. Just make that selection a radio menu too, and that runs in real time. Mostly just make the game, like when you're selecting stuff, real time. Because it's like for clothing, yeah, leave that to the menu. But like selecting your weapons, I think being able to swap on the fly would be better than just pressing like the left or right, I guess D-pad or Joy-Con button in case of the Joy-Cons, and having to just cycle through your weapons, because if you upgraded all your weapon slots and everything like that, it kind of got annoying just to scroll past your weapon so you can save a weapon so it doesn't break or swap. It'd be a lot better and easier just to have that be a radio menu. And there's some other things I want to talk about, but that was technically the last thing, but I want to talk about some smaller things like amiibo support. I think Breath of the Wild had like the best amiibo support of any Wii U game or Switch game so far. And I want to see, like, since you got like classic Zelda items for scanning amiibos through RNG, I think RNG could have been better, because it took forever just sometimes to get like the weapon you wanted from an amiibo. But regardless, I want to see if they do. I want the return, and I want them to bring in new items. So like for like in Wind Waker, for the Wind Waker amiibo, for Link you got his clothes and you got the hero's shield, I believe it's called. But if they were to do it in this next game or next sequel, I'd like to see them just give them, instead of like the hero shield, give Link the mirror shield from Wind Waker, the Wind Waker design, and the I forgot the like the base sword in Wind Waker as well. I don't know if you do get it in Breath of the Wild. I don't believe you do, but like the base sword, I forgot the name of it, but you could. But for another example, like the Majora's Mask amiibo, give him the gilded sword. I believe it's called the gilded sword. The fully upgraded sword from Majora's Mask, and like the mirror shield from that game, or the hero shield from that game. It's stuff like that, just different other Zelda items. And I think it'd be cool to have, like they did like this with the DLC season pass, and adding in other Zelda costumes as a quote unquote, I don't know if it's free update or not, but it's not really, because you're paying for the season pass. But anyways, but just like DLC outfits and that after the game comes out, that'd be cool too. And the last thing is multiplayer. I know it's a long shot, but some form of multiplayer functionality would be nice to see. To be honest, I don't know how it would work, but regardless, we haven't had multiplayer implemented in the 3D Zelda game, yet the 2D ones have done it multiple times. Maybe in arena mode, arena 1v1 mode, when you 1v1 one person. I don't know how. Or similar to like how you do it in like the shadow battles in A Link Between Worlds, but we don't have Trees Pass, so I don't know. Maybe a lobby system, or you can go all out and just do like a Ocarina of Time, like the mods or the hack where you can play Ocarina of Time with multiple people, like the whole full game, I believe. Or even something simple like the Tingle Bottle, You just have like little bottles with messages from players scattered throughout the world, and you can just like designs or collect stamps or something like that. But that ends my list of things I want to see in the sequel to Breath of the Wild. And in conclusion, just add more Zelda into your Zelda game. And my last words will be for this video is thanks for watching. If you suffer through this video, I know my mic or I sound kind of stupid, but it's like my third or fourth take, and I kind of want to keep it just leave it as that, because this video's gotten way longer now. But thanks for watching, and yeah, goodbye. I don't know, maybe Adam Playable Zelda will be cool. Okay, that's the last one. Bye.